Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In the last video, we took the motor all apart, got everything blown apart, and in this video today, what we're going to do is what a lot of people call blueprinting an engine, and that just simply means we're going to measure a lot of things to see what the engine needs before you order anything, because you don't want to just go and order stuff and then find out that your engine needs to be bored over, or your crank bearing, your crank needs to be turned and all that. So that's what we're going to do today.
Don't adjust that dial, cause it ain't no glitch. Best Mazda content from MazdaMitch. Mazda Minitruck.
So while I had the engine all broke down, took apart and everything, I pressure washed and cleaned a lot of parts. I cleaned the block. I took the pistons and I cleaned them. I soaked them in diesel fuel, cleaned them really well. I took a piece of broken ring and I took the rings off, and I took a piece of the broken ring and just made sure everything was really clean. What I want to pay attention to today is the block, of course, and we want to look at this crank. We want to measure all of the journals and see where they are. We're going to see where they are, how worn this crank is. Okay, so we got this engine. It's all torn apart. And the reason we did that is because we want to, of course, rebuild it, but we want to, what I call blueprint the engine, which is taking a ton of measurements just to see if, does the engine need to be bored out? Do I need to take it to a machine shop? Can I get by with just replacing the bearings and the rings? That's what we want to know. And before we order anything, we need to take a ton of measurements. Okay, let's go over some tools that we'll be using today. If you can, get some really good straight edges that are super straight so that we can check the block for it to be like the deck being nice and straight. I'm going to use those. So you'll really want some good straight edges. You'll want a feeler gauge. That's what we're going to use for doing that deck check coming up later in the video. So this right here is a micrometer. And this is a digital caliper. This is a dial caliper. That's another digital caliper. These are great to use for journals, and if you have one big enough, great to measure the piston size. I don't have any big enough, so won't be using those today. This digital caliper is from Harbor Freight, and it does inches and millimeters. I'm going to do everything today in inches, but this won't go into the thousandths, and we really want to see what some of this is in the thousandths. This is good for that. It does measure in thousandths. It's hard to read for some people, and they choose not to use it, but it's very accurate. And this one here is a digital one, and it will do millimeter, fractions, and inches. We're going to use inches today. Also, you'll need some of these telescoping bore gauges for what I'm going to do today. So we're going to use these to slide these down into the cylinder and then lock it, and then we're going to pull it out and measure it with the caliper. It's not super duper precise. It's close, but what you really want is one of them, I think it's called a T-bore gauge, to do your cylinders with. I don't have one of those. They're very expensive. This will kind of just let you know where you are. It's not super precise, and you're probably going to have to measure. You're going to have to do it several times to come to the conclusion, or to come to a satisfactory number. I've had to do this several times to try to get accurate numbers. So also printed out some pages from the shop manual that's on the website. You can print these out as well. I like to print them out sometimes, just the pages I'm going to be working on, and have them close by so that I don't have to have whole book and fumble through it. Plus, I can get these dirty and throw them away. I've also done a little quick spreadsheet stuff, and I will make these into some PDFs that you can print. You can also use them. They'll be in the down below in the video description. They'll be on the website. But I've got one for measuring the cylinder bores, and you'll be measuring the top, middle, and bottom in an x-axis and a y-axis, and you will do the math and you'll come up with how much out of round or how much taper it has. That's always good to note. That's what blueprinting is. And we're going to do the same for the crank pins. That's what the piston connecting rods ride on. And we're doing the main journals, which is on your crank. That's the big ones. So we're going to measure all of that today using these tools, and we're going to blueprint. Plan on painting this block. I'm going to leave the freeze plugs in it. They are okay. Some of this white crusty stuff is some phosphoric acid or some kind of anti-corrosion and rust spray that I put on it. I'm going to scuff it up and paint it. But you're probably wondering, is it flat? Does it need to be decked? We do need to check that. These are iron blocks, and from just about every block I've ever messed with, they've always been very straight. Nothing needed to happen to them. But if you did take it to a machine shop, they may check it. They may just gloss. They will clean it up. They may take like a very tiny amount off. But I'm going to show you how to check this deck. So a lot of times like I said, the deck will, or the deck of the block will be pretty much perfect, and nothing will need to be done to it other than you just cleaning it up with a very light abrasive, like maybe a 3M Scotch-Brite. You don't want to use anything too heavy and mar it up any. But generally, the warping of anything that happens is going to be from the aluminum cylinder head. That's generally where any warping takes place when the vehicle, if it was to run hot. And when we get into the cylinder head, we'll check it basically the same way we're checking this. So again, what you'll need is a feeler gauge, and the book says that you can do 15 hundredths of a millimeter. I've got 8 hundredths of a millimeter. That would be the 003 or the 006. They say in the book to use the 6. You can. I'm going to show you that. And I use the 003. It's very thin. It's half the thickness of that one. But you'll want some good straight edges. Something very solid. Something you know is straight. Like these are machined pieces. This one's not long enough, but it can be used for the front and rear. This one I got lucky to get, and it is very straight. It's kind of thin, but it has enough edge, it'll stand up on its own. So let me bring you in close. First, what we need to do, and I'll put a little picture on the screen, but you want to measure, you want to check for flatness here, front. So that's side to side, front to back, and then we're going to crisscross. So real quick, I will use this to show you, since I believe you're right there. I'm going to use the very small one. It's basically, well, let's see, I'll show you. I don't know if you can see it, but it's 3 thousandths. So what you want to do is put your flat edge on the block and see if you can get this in there. And if you can't, well, that part is nice and straight. Now, since the camera is still in a good spot, we're going to take this one. And what you want to do, We'll take that skinny one again. Let me just run that 6 out of the way. Okay. I'm gonna put this on its flat edge. Try to hold it still and try to get under everywhere it meets the block. I lifted it. It kind of goes in there right there. You know what I think that is me tilting it. That's why I like this one. It's a lot thicker and it'll stand up on its own so easy. It's not going in. Kinda. Oh, that's me. I had it tilted. Take your time. So this one's long enough. It's gonna stand. See, stand up on its own. Oops. I keep. Find the flat spot. This one is thin. So you know if you got something as thin as this and you got it cocked a little bit, it's going to go under. Don't let that freak you out. You really need to have something a little thicker and find that flatness. Something as thick as this, and it'll stand up on its own. That's all you'll basically do. And then you'll do it from another corner to corner. There is nothing wrong with this block as far as it being flat. Because again, I was using a half the size of what they recommend in the book. So it's nice and flat. And with a head gasket, this dude will seal off. It's going to be nice. So let me show you how we're going to get the measurements of a cylinder bore. Now I have conveniently marked out this X axis and this Y axis. Got an old ring, a piston ring. I'm going to use it in the cylinder bore to square up everything. We got our telescoping bore gauge, pencil, digital caliper, and our printout so we can write this stuff down. So first thing we're going to do, I'm going to put this, the cylinder wall is a little lubricated, and I'm going to put this piston ring in. And what you would want to do is measure 3 levels of this cylinder, and it would be like A, or top, middle, and bottom, A, B, or C. It's listed A, B, or C in the manual. And of course, generally most of your wear would be at the top. So this C level, the C, bottom, is probably where you would find the true cylinder bore diameter. And these measurements are generally, like this is a 1/2 inch from the top. This is, it looks like a 1/2 inch from the bottom, but basically it's the you can look down your cylinder and you can see where it's been really shiny and where it's not shiny. So the very bottom of the shiny is where the last ring, the piston stops. That's the ring area. So that's the part we're going to do for that, but it's kind of maybe 1/2 inch above the bottom of the block. I haven't measured it. It looks like a lot more than that. It looks like 1 inch. So we're going to take them 3 measurements. I'll show you how that's done. So first, I got this piston, and I'm going to go right up to here. So that's a little more than 1/2 inch, but kinda. And all this is doing is truing up the ring, making sure it's straight in the bore. And I will probably have to get down here on my knees and just eyeball it and make sure that it's straight and level in there. Good enough, close, very close. Probably a better way to get that ring all true. If you know, drop a comment below for the next guy. So now that that's in there, I'm going to take our telescoping bore gauge and lay it in. And I'm trying to just get it on that x-axis. And this is it locks, so I'm going to not push down on it, but just hold it still so that it doesn't go this way or that way. And lock it. Then, let's see, I'll just turn this around. This is where it can get tricky. You want to cut on your digital caliper. Go ahead and squeeze it in. Make sure it's 0. Hit 0. And then we're going to measure. And it's tricky because it's a rounded edge on each edge of this. So you want to kind of get that in the center with your caliper. I'm going to use this, and this is like a center line area. And I'm going to get in there on it. And that says, on my first reading, 3.3870. Just do it one more time. And that says 3.3865. That makes sense to me. So on my top, 3.3865. So now I'm going to scoot this over. Let that out. And since the ring is here on the top, we're going to go ahead and get this y-axis. So I'm going to try my best to center that up with the block on that axis. And lock it down. Let me do it one more time. If you think you're a little off or something, just take your time. These measurements are in thousandths of an inch. So tiny. So if you want the best measurement you can get, take your time. If you bump something, redo it. So let me get this. That one says that one says 3.3840. Okay, let me write that down. 3.3840. Okay, so next you would take your piston, and this time we're going to push it down to probably right here and look at it. I'm using the piston skirt as an area that I can touch it to the block, and just kind of lets me know that I'm pretty much the ring is square in there. That is kind of a good middle. You know, they're really, to find out your taper, you really only need your top and your bottom. But the book does suggest getting all 3 measurements. So I'm going to loosen that up. Come down here. Lock it down. Get it out. Measure it. Yeah. It says 3.4085. That seems off. So in that case, I'll do it again. But if there is going to be some wear, it is going to be on this axis. The way the piston rocks, I mean, just a little bit over time, thousands of miles, it will wear an egg shape. That came out so easy. I'm not sure I got that right. See, that time it was 3.3855. That's more, I think this might be right. 855. No, it's the wrong one. Wrong one. 3.855. You'll want a bunch of sheets of paper and a pencil that has an eraser. Okay, so we did that one and that one. Let's do this one. Lay it in there real good. Lock it down. .3845. You really only want to rest it. You don't want to push it or force it. 3.3845. That's 4045. Now I'm going to push that ring. I can see down in there. I'm going to push it. I'm going to bump it a little. That's about right. Let's let that out. Drop it down. Remember, the best way to do this would be with the T-bore gauge that has wheels on this side and it has a protrusion out there, and you can read it with the dial, or some of them are digital. It's a whole lot more accurate than this. We're just doing the best we can with what we got. $3.3855. Okay. Now we're going to do the Y. Just released it. Push it down in there. Try to get it as straight as you can. Oop, I pushed on the ring, but I had it locked down anyway. It says 3.4055. That's highly suspect. Let me pull this ring up a little bit. It's a little too big of a number. Okay. Looks good. Now I'm gonna do that one more time. Release it. All right. $3.3810. 3.3810. That is a lot. And it should be, what you should have, let's see. That number's very low. Of course, if there's going to be any wear, it's going to be toward the top. So these numbers will generally probably be larger than your bottom number, but that's an awful lot. So let's do it again. You may want to do it again. And you can do this. That's what I'm saying. You can do it over and over and over until you feel like those numbers are good. I do like how it's sitting in there. So it's not super precise. We could be off a little bit here and there. It says 3.38. It said 50. You can move it and it just means a lot coming off those beveled edges. 3.3850. That's what I'm thinking. I think I wrote a 50 up here as well. So and then what you would do, you would take if the difference between the measurements of A and C exceeds the maximum taper, rebore the cylinder to oversize. So this one right here, I can tell this one is 5 thousandths. It is so minute, but it is 5 thousandths out of round. And the maximum is 4 thousandths, so they say. However, I've already done this. I've already got my numbers for this block. It is worn. It just is worn, but it's going to work out okay. Okay, so if you want to find out how worn your pistons are, the piston skirts, first you want to look at them, make sure everything, how worn does it look? These actually don't look that bad. If these are the original, and I think they are, they look really good. There's just a little bit of wear on the side. And like I said, this has been, my guesstimation, rebuilt once. So this will be the second go at it. It looks pretty good. So anyways, the book says that you'll want to come down from the lowest, the oil ring land, down to about 18 millimeters. So that's about right there. Kind of marked it. Take your caliper, run it out, and you go about right there. Get a measurement, 3.3825. Write that down. And what you can do with that number is you can look at the piston diameter, the standard size, and this is 3.3825. And this diameter, they got 3.3836. So it's a little shy from the minimum they have on the piston size diameter. So it's just a little bit under. And we can take that number with the other numbers that we just took from the cylinder bore, and we can figure out the clearance. Okay, so that we got our information for the cylinder block. So I took the numbers and I averaged them up for this cylinder one. I come out with 3.3862, and of course we got our piston number. So I'm going to subtract it. 3.3825, and that comes out to be 37 thousandths of an inch. So this shows you your clearance range, but the maximum is 6/100ths of an inch. So we're in good shape. It's going to work. Okay, so we did the block, got all our measurements. We checked our piston to cylinder wall clearance, and as I said before, some of the bearings I took out I took it out of this one. It has standard wrote on it, so I do believe they're standard. There's been no turning, no overboring or nothing so far on this engine. And I have a feeling it's only been rebuilt once. So that's cool. But let's move on. We've got the crank to deal with and what we want to do. So we have some main journals. That's the ones that go straight across. These are your crank pin journals. This is for your connecting rods. And what we want to do is take a lot of measurements just to see how worn this is, just to see if we're still in the neighborhood of running standard bearings. So we got our crank here. We got our digital caliper. So on this paper, we got my crank pin sheet and I got my main journal sheet. So I'm going to show you how to do it real quick. You may want to, of course, be very careful with your crank, but get it in a position or a place where you can take measurements, because this is what we're going to do. We're going to take measurements this way and, of course, this way, like an x-axis and a y-axis. And we're also going to do it. There's a fillet roll right here. It's mentioned in the paperwork. You don't want to take your caliper and get right up on that. You want to be on the shiny part right here. You want to take a measurement, and right here take a measurement. So what you're gonna want to do is take two measurements. You're going to take one here and one here, this way and this way. And we're going to do one just on the shiny part here and here, going down like that. And then we're going to write. That's why on the piece of paper there's two lines, because you're going to write your first number on your x-axis here and your second number. And then on your y-axis you'll write that here and here. You'll see how it comes together. So what I'm going to do first for you guys is we're going to do this first main bearing, main journal, my bad, it's a main journal. You want to make sure it's clean and free of any debris, so you might want to use some brake clean and a rag. Clean these up, because anything under this caliper, throw it off. You know, even a hair could throw it off. Got my caliper on, zeroed out. That's very important. You may want to zero it out often. So I am going to, see, it's already off, zeroed out. I'm going to pull it open. And all you want to do is come in here. You don't really want to press it hard. You want to get it snug. You want to get it straight. I'm looking straight down. And I got to hold it. I'm going to lock it in. And it should slide right off. You don't want to scratch. This possibly could scratch it. But you don't want to scratch your journal. And so this time, I'll unlock it, make sure it's zeroed out. Sometimes what you may have to do is just get on down in here. That says 2 point. That actually looked really good there for a second. It was 2.360, and that's more in line with what the book says. Okay, so now we're going to do this outside edge. It says 2.3. Let me do it again. 2.3600. Same thing. That's good. Okay, so now that we've done that, we need to get this measurement. So, since I'm down here like this, I'm going to put it there. 2.3 says, yeah, 2.3600. Then we'll come out to our outside edge. Should be the same thing. Yeah. Yeah. Remember, you want it to be able to slide off and not pull it off. Open that back up. 2.360. So there we go. 2.360. Okay, so that's how you would get, and this comes out to be all zeros. 0.0000. So there's no out of round. Now it's 2.360, and over here, I mean the maximum is 2.3604. This one is totally good. It's gonna be good. So without boring you with any more measurements, putting you through all that, I'll let you get to doing your own. You know how to do one. And you would do, the only difference in this one and this is you got other obstacles to deal with. So you want to be careful when you're doing it, of course, and take your time. But there will be times, like for instance right here, this is fine. But if I came over here, I'm going to run in, my body of the caliper is going to run into that. So I would have to turn around and do it this way. And then a lot of times you would have to use your lock and pull it off, write it down, and just take your time, do it over and over and over. Feel confident with your measurements or the numbers that you've captured. Watch out for your oil holes. You don't want to measure over the oil hole because it's flat. And you just want to record your numbers and see how it pans out. Another thing that helps me think it'll be okay, this right here is one of the old piston rings. And I'm going to show you a little something that we will have to tackle when we rebuild the engine anyway, and that's checking the ring gap. So hold on 1 second. Let's get this down in there just right. Let's just push it on down to about right there. Okay, so on this ring gap, this is the used piston ring, and the book says from 20 thousandths to 35 thousandths is good. 20 being tighter. And this one here, this is at 20. It's actually got a lot of gap. Let's see what if I even got anything big enough on this one. I don't. But to show you, hold on. I am very curious what that gap is. I got another one here. This is the maximum. It's 35 thousandths. And these old piston rings are at the maximum plus some. I don't have one big enough. So watch this. This is one of the new rings. Gotta be careful with them. Let's just line it all up. Okay, looking good. So the new rings got this 20 thousandths feeler gauge, and it's of course they're new. It's tight, and that's a good thing. I'm going to check these new ones, I'm going to check it at several levels in the cylinder bore, but most of the time, because these are standard rings, I mean, I've rebuilt 3 of these engines, and I don't remember shaving any off. But that just goes to show you how much wear there is, and that just goes to show you that new rings, it's going to be nice. I think it's going to be pretty nice. Some of you are probably wondering, well, is he going to clean the cylinders up? Yes, I got one of them dingleberry ball hone things. I've used it before. I'm going to use it on this block. I'm going to just basically recross hatch the cylinder walls real quickly, like 10 little blasts per cylinder. Going to clean this all up, going to paint the block, and that's coming in later videos. Of course, we're just stepping through this. It's a series for this project truck, and so don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video if you like it, comment below. But yeah, subscribe, hit the notification bell for those future videos where I do get into all that so you don't miss it. So I believe what we'll do now, we'll wrap up this video. This was a blueprinting video, probably not the best, by far not the best, but you get what's going on up here and what I'm doing to figure out what I need to order. I hate it when guys pre-order a kit and then they get it and they have to board the engine over, and they've bought standard pistons, they got to buy new pistons, a whole new bunch of stuff. So this is the best way. You want to know what this motor needs, and for me, it's going to work as a backyard rebuild. It's going to be fine. So in the next video, we're going to sit down at the computer, we're going to use Rock Auto, and we're going to look up parts, show you how to. Some people don't even know how to look up parts on Rock Auto. It is a great tool just to look up parts for yourself, and you can get reference number, part numbers and all this stuff, and it's a good thing. So I'm going to show you about that in the next video. Let's go to the computer and let's order some parts.